What up, everybody? Scuffy here, and today it is time to break in to the Angels of Darkness. I've been doing a lot of fun games within the event as well as outside of the event with the Defenders of Caliban, the Dark Angels. Today, what I want to do is I want to talk about the Dark Angels first. Nemiel is what we're going to be talking about. Hang on, I'm getting some volume in my headphones. So we're going to be talking about Nemiel of the Dark Angels. Nemiel is your starter warlord. He is the rare warlord as it is for the Dark Angels. He's got a very simplistic ability. His ability is pay 2 energy, give +1/+1 to 2 random troops in your hand. And that's not too bad. That's not too bad. That's a pretty decent ability. A lot of the games I played with him initially, because I played a lot of games with him, were before the Dark Angels patch, the most recent patch, which I think took place about 3 weeks ago, maybe about a month ago at this point in time. And that changed, might actually have been, now that I think about it, it might have been like 6 weeks. Because the most recent one was, yeah, so it might have been about 6 weeks. Gosh. So at the time when I was playing with Nemiel, is I was using a lot of neutral cards because, quite frankly, I didn't have a lot of Dark Angels cards. I just started out with the Dark Angels collection. Very few cards in there. I was missing some legendaries, missing quite a few epics, even some pinch rares I didn't have enough of. So I was just dipping into the neutral pool. And because his ability works with any troops in there, I was using your standard, Jubok, Kaiser Ambassador Melgator, las rifle sections, Duke Morcher, and it was doing okay. He felt like a warlord, and he still feels like a warlord that can go well with anything, and that's nice. But as time went on, I got the Dark Angels cards that I needed, and I've got a pretty fun, pretty solid deck, I would say. And I think through the course of testing and playing it, I found that it was good to stick with a specific wing. So we're going to take a look at one of the replays here before we get into the deck itself, just so you can kind of see the deck in action. Got a 12-win run with Ophion in the current event here. And a lot of people are saying that Modrum is the way to go, but I beat 3 out of 4 Modrums. I mean, Modrum's a tough matchup by far. Here we go. Let's get into the Nemiels. Let's take a look at this fail one here. So, as long as there's no issues with the bugs of the replays from patches that have taken place, I think that's okay. And I think in this deck here, I still had some neutrals. I had Forbidden Secret. I think I've gotten rid of Forbidden Secret since then. This is one of those versions where I was really testing it out. I found that Astravel is a really good card. I mean, his rally effect is nice in of itself, but with the patch that they gave him, that Dreadwing, that works a lot better than you would think. That works a lot better than you would think because of the way the game currently operates with the faction itself. Now, Operator Decor, these guys are very popular for just this reason here. Specifically, you pick that quest where you damage the Warlord. If he's your turn 1 play, turn 2, you're going to have a strong Astartes buffed in your hand. In addition to Nemiel's ability, you can really start rolling. Now, so he's got that that missile battery, which is actually going to be kind of a pain if he's able to use that ability to damage and stun my non-warlords. Not a fan of it, so I'm going to toss that back up into his hand. Waiting to get Astrovel drop. Astrovel, he's going to rally. He's going to have some strong battle honors. He's going to do work. That's really what he's going to do. Fail has got a good ability here in the fact that he can consistently create troops as well as put troops out there that can flank, meaning anything I put on the board, I want to have it stronger than it should be. Astrovel's going to come out. That's great. That's fantastic. But I want my guys to be stronger. I got to deal with threats. I'm going to play this legendary, even though I don't want to right away. I'd like to boost him through the course of a game and get a cheap flanker. But I got to break these Exiarchs. They're just going to get stronger, and they're going to allow for more troops that he plays on the board to get stronger too. So that's not something I want to let happen. If that makes sense. But with the wings, with this Dreadwing card here, him having Dreadwing, troops having Raven Wing, those two wings work really well together. There's a couple tactics that shine very nicely together as a result of that as well. And you throw those things down, and you suddenly have got a synergy that was a little lacking before the patch came out initially. I think that's a good change. I think that's been a positive change. It makes Nemiel's early games very strong. He's got a lot of options. He can run out of options in the same way that Saul Tarvitz can. If you put down your big stuff and your opponent can respond to it quickly, you can run out of cards in hand, as you're seeing here. I'm really starting to play with the bare minimum, and that's not ideal. I don't want that if I can help it. However, the nature of the Dark Angels and the power that they can possess is pretty strong. Again, Forbidden Secret doesn't work well with Nemiel as much as I thought it would. It was just a card to try in the meantime. I am, however, going to do what I can to keep that Astrovel alive, and in this instance here, I'm going to heal him up. I'm going to pump his health up. So if he puts down troops to flank, he's going to have to put down quite a few troops to flank out that Astrovel. And I was a little surprised, quite frankly, that he didn't use his ability to give that missile battery flank, because I think that really would have cinched it. Now here we've got a card that is an example of, it's a Raven Wing, but it combos if there's a Dreadwing on the board. It's gonna gain cleave 2. It's gonna get stronger, especially if Astrovel is able to kill something or just deal the 6 damage with it. I like the buffs. I like having the cards. Without having those cards, it was harder to make Nemiel work. It just felt like I was playing Lucretia, or maybe even like a low-grade Tacitus Proctor without vehicles with neutral stuff. And I like the fact now that I've got the Dark Angels cards to go with it. So, but yeah, here we've got a we're going to be able to pump and drop, and you always want to get these guys with, if you can, get them above 4 attacks, so you don't have to worry about them being Ambassador Melgatord. A 5 attack first strike is very nice. Feels like a bit of a gamble on his end to drop that orbital bombardment, but I really don't know what he's playing with, or if he's just thinking, well, I can at least get rid of that first strike because I have to, because otherwise he'll destroy all my troops. I don't know what he had in his hand, but he kind of gave up there. That was kind of an early, as you saw, it was like lower on the list. It was an early version of this deck. The deck itself has gone through a couple of revisions since then. I always had Drilling Sight in the deck because I want to use his ability and then play a troop, and Drilling Sight makes that happen. However, I found that having 2 Drilling Sights wasn't so good. I found that at points in the game, if you got 2 Drilling Sights right away, great, but then you don't have any troops. If you got it late in the game and you don't have any troops, or you're not using your ability with it, then it was not as worthwhile. So 1 Drilling Sight, I feel right now, works okay. As you can see, I got rid of the Forbidden Secret. I doubled down. I was able to get a second Operator Decor. Two of those guys, probably the best starting card you can have for Dark Angels. Not just for Nemiel. It works very well with Nemiel because you get Nemiel to boost it. Then you play the Decor. Or you play Decor. You get him to boost it in Astartes. You play Nemiel. You've got Drilling Sight. Strong opening hand. Very strong opening hand. Also, probably a must-have is Pelgor Marner. This guy makes it very easy to boost a lot of your cards. I did keep a couple of neutrals in the deck, as you can see. There's nothing wrong with having Ekra and Jubak in there. But then the rest of the cards really are Dark Angels, because what I'm doing here, Decor is a Dreadwing, and then the rest of my stuff is Ravenwing. And then I'm using Hunt Them Down, because Hunt Them Down gives my stuff flank. In addition, if it's a Ravenwing troop, it's giving it +2/+2, and that's a permanent +2/+2. So that works really well if I've boosted a troop once or twice, or maybe played Pelagor, and late game, I just throw down a Morduin squad. And these guys are a Ravenwing, and they've got, now let's say they've got stats of a 4/6. And then I've got the extra energy to give them flank with Hunt Them Down. They become a 6/8. And because they've got flank, either they can attack for 6 or they can use this ability and deal 6 damage equal to that troop's attack. Very susceptible to jam. Sabotage is going to be a pain for Nemiel, your opponent, who can sabotage or hard removal the stuff that you've invested 3 or 4 turns boosting. You're going to be a little sad if they get rid of it with one card. However, there are a lot of synergy cards here with Ravenwing and Deathwing. And then you've got also this Onyx Saber, which is a Ravenwing, and I'm not sorry, Deathwing, Dreadwing. And then this comes in and can deal damage plus an additional damage, plus it's a very nice body. And you've got Astravel. Overall, as you can see, a lot of the troops in this deck here are not above 5 cost. Most of them are below 4 cost, quite frankly. But investing energy from his ability, as well as giving them ways to either survive because of the Lexicon of Glory, or you've given them additional health, or maybe you've been able to trigger a couple of quests to heal things, or you've just healed your Warlord with a redemption. It's got a little bit of longevity to get to that point where you can drop down a big nasty troop. Your opponent has exhausted their resources in battling with your littler troops early in the game, and then you kind of lock down the final nail in the coffin, as it were. Now, aggro decks like Angron can be very hard. Those are hard matchups because, first off, Nemiel's got 30 health. So he's susceptible to that. I think this is an early game here too, because I was using Zerian Squad. So this is an early version of the deck because I took Zerian Squad out. They're nice, always giving you a troop, but I found that once I got those Operator Decors and I got 2 copies of those guys, a lot better to have. Because early game, these are good. Late game, they're not great. And if I'm not playing with that Secret Order that completes the quests, not as effective. But you want to have frontline. You do have to have the Adravian Moors. You do want to have some Terminators, some Deathwing Terminators in there. That's critical because Nemiel's low health, his 30 health, he's got a short timer. He's got to get some big nasty bodies down, and he's got to do it quickly. Otherwise, he's just going to take too much damage, and then he's going to be susceptible to an endgame finisher or direct damage attack, whatever the case may be. So in this game here, we're going to try to turtle up as much as we can, hopefully boost the attack and health of some frontline troops, throw down some distractions. I'm not a fan of throwing him down without having him boosted, but I want to bait cards out. I want to force my opponent to deal with things. I'll take it. It's not fantastic, but I'll take it. I'm going to throw Astravel down. I'm going to boost up some Astartes. One thing that I like here, and this game doesn't have the counterattack featured in it, but actually one thing that I like is the Dark Angel's counterattack in conjunction with Astravel especially. You can bring him out at 4 energy, and that's a strong turn to bring him out and start already boosting the Astartes in your hand. Because of his health, it's likely that he will survive a turn, and that's good to have. Now, prisoner custody. We'll go back and we'll take a look at the deck list since then. Prisoner custody, I think I had 2 copies of this card in my deck initially, and I chose to stick with 1 for clutch plays. Primarily because it's not impossible for my opponent to get rid of. I was actually kind of surprised that he didn't damage himself with that tactic, but I guess he was rather not let me build a board, and he had this counterattack in hand. I guess he was going to use it that way. But yeah, for against Angron or Ruinstorm, they have a lot of ways to get rid of that prisoner custody. Prisoner custody is very useful against warlords like Corswain, or against the Kurz, Night Haunter, even against, at times, I've used it against Khan, late game right before he's able to get into his battle honor and lock down a huge nasty board. I want to get these guys dropped down before 8 energy so he can't hit me with that the Conqueror if he has it in his hand, and try to endure and bait out his Conqueror and then throw down some troops, hopefully some more frontline troops. The fact that we've got a quest here, healing for 6, that's going to help swing the game a little bit, plus the 6 from this attack here. But it really is it's a fine dance when you're placing an aggro warlord. So you have to know when to boost, know when to throw down cards. I'm definitely going to throw down the Astrovel again. If he throws down Conqueror, he got rid of 2 troops, but I've got a front line that's got a lot of beef. I've got other troops. I've got stuff with cleave if I need to, and he didn't, and I was a little surprised, thankful, because that makes my job a lot easier. I'll take it, and then we just go into pump mode, and if you don't have it, then we'll push the envelope, because if you didn't draw it the first time, maybe you won't draw it the second time. Yeah, I think, trying to think here, in terms of aggressive warlords, I think Angron probably gave me the most runs for my money. It was a very hard matchup, very tricky, so to speak. We got direct damage in there, and we've got the game locked. I think Khan games were a lot easier than you would have expected, because his tactics, he's got a couple of hard removal tactics, a couple direct damage tactics, but if I get the troops out at relatively high health, it's hard for him to deal with that. Kabanda, not a big deal. Not a big deal, especially after the changes that the Kabanda has received. So let's take one more look at the deck here. As I said, I've only got 1 prisoner custody in here. Deathwing Protocol here. This is hard removal. You only need 1 of those in there. Eschaton Imperative has been changed to be more effective, lowering the cost of each troop. I really just keep it in there as deal 2 damage to all enemies. The dropping the cost of Dark Angel's troops, that's an added bonus. It's not that anything that I needed. It helps at times, but typically I just find that it's better than relying on a defensive satellites. So that's why that's in there. And other than that, I really think everything in here is just picking the proper Ravenwing cards that I want. Ravenwing's got flank. It's got a lot of fast stuff, and then it combos well with the Dreadwing stuff that goes in here. Hang on here. There we go. We got Deathwing, and then we've got Astrovel getting that Dreadwing battle honor. And then we've got Hunt Them Down, which is really just extra juice for the Ravenwing. I think the one card that I don't have in this deck, because I don't have it, is Nemiel. Nemiel is a Deathwing here, but his ability, as well as just the fact that you can juice him up as a troop, he would be nice to have. So when I do pick him up in my collection, he'll be going in, possibly in place for one of these one of these sabers, just because these are kind of a conditional 5 damage, and he could very easily be a guaranteed 5 damage. Not to mention he's got a little extra health, and he's not susceptible to a crag grenade. So we'll see. But that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking at to put him in there. But that's really how Nemiel operates. We'll take a look at one more game here, see if I can find... I think I pinned it. Got some good games against Kurz. Zardu. Let's do against... let's see, against this Tarvitz. I believe this is a double D Tarvitz. I believe this is a double D Tarvitz. We'll see. So far, not this, and this is a more recent version of the deck. As you can see, I've got Morduin, I've got Hunt Them Down. I'm really enhancing my Ravenwing cards in here. Not a great start, but I'm going to keep that prisoner custody for a troop that he might throw down, like Eidolon or something like that. And this might seem like a foolish move, but I think that's actually a smart play, because I think he was expecting me to have Operator to core. And if I've got Operator to core out and he's got that Goldstone Hunter, he can just respond to it very quickly. So that was actually a really smart play on his part. However, it's going to be all about beefing up the boys, getting stuff stronger, baiting out some stuff, trying to do what I can to force his hand. He's got 3 cards in hand. If I can chew up his resources early on, and get my resources on the table, then that's going to give me the advantage. So that's really what I'm trying to do here. But we'll see. We'll see. The Tarvitz Desperate Defense builds are pretty solid. When they go off at turn 5, turn 6, it can be frustrating. So it's nice to have some options, and it's nice to be able to have troops that you've had a lot of time invested in, so when they throw him out, you can throw out and just jam that troop or stun his front line, or unstoppable, get over his front line. He throws down the Noise Marine. I don't think he's playing Desperate Defense. I could be wrong. I think he could just be going with your standard Emperor's Children Sol Tarvitz, which is also very, very effective. I like that I'm boosting Ekritrez here, because that's going to be some additional healing that I can get. See, it's been a while since I played this game, so I'm trying to wonder, am I mixing this Sol up with the other Sol that was on that replay list? Maybe. I don't know. Got to get that Jubok down after I drop the cost of my troops. Because I really want to force his Sol to not be able to use his ability. I want to force his Sol to attack my troop. If I'm going to lose my front line, I want to lose it that way. And he did. And again, he's playing smart here, but not using that flanker, keeping that flanker alive for other things. I'm going to put my stuff down, though. And I'm going to prisoner custody that, because I want to keep my guy alive for a bit. Oh, I'm not going to prisoner custody. I'm going to Jubok. Oh, okay. Staying up on that prisoner custody. Hoping I can get that Morduin squad pumped up above 4. We'll see. Okay. So you know when he Melgators a troop. Oh, okay, that's right. I used the prisoner custody on the Sardarian, which is not a bad choice to do that with. Now, when you do that, you got to watch out with these random damages like Informant Network or anything like that, because that will trigger anything that's going to hit across the board. You got to play a little bit smarter. You got to play a little bit smarter once you lock somebody into a prisoner custody. And now he's playing top deck at this point, so I'm feeling okay with that. As long as I can keep that Sardarian locked down and get some troops on the board that are boosted and healthy, I'll be doing okay. And you should, healing is key here. Healing is very nice. By all means, the healing options within this deck with Ecratrez or with some quests, as well as the redemption. The redemption tactic, if you play that late game, can really, really be nice. And here's an example where we just pumped him up, and now we're going to deal 8 damage. And then, like, you just have this board here, you play Redemption, it's a low-cost card, but then suddenly you're healing for, 2 plus 3 is 5. That's a good heal. That's a good heal. So this is not the Desperate Defense Saul. This is just a standard classic Saul. However, Saul is a very common, very prevalent warlord. So there's nothing wrong with that. And I was playing that tactic just to see if shield would save him and keep him prisoner locked, and it does. So good to know. If the shield's not there, though, don't play Informant Network, don't play Defensive Satellites, Artillery Strike, unless you are okay with releasing that troop. So that's Nemiel, guys. He plays really simple. And when I say simple, I mean in the fact that his faction synergizes well. I think Ravenwing is the better way to go. I think there are more cards that support Ravenwing. I think the Deathwing with all the frontline troops seems like an interesting concept, but they're a little bit slower. They're higher cost, and I don't think they work well for his low health. That's why I think the Ravenwing being able to flank, deal with threats right away, having some natural cards that also give them extra boost, as well as flanking to your Ravenwing that don't already have flank, is a smart choice. And quite frankly, I'm actually pretty glad that I was able to come up with this deck that is not like every Dark Angels legendary. I think initially, I still think for the Lion and maybe for Core Swain, I think you want to have all the rares, all the legendaries. You could argue on Forbidden Secret for the Lion, but at least for Core Swain. But you don't need to have them all for Nemiel. I don't need Deathwing companions in Nemiel. I think it's too cumbersome. I think it's too clunky. I don't need Forbidden Secret. I don't need Invincible Reason. Again, those are 3 legendary cards that I don't need to have in this deck. When I get them, I'm not going to be worried about them. I'm pretty locked with rares, commons, and some epics. And as far as epics go, Astravel is number 1. And then probably number 2 is going to be the, I would say number 2, Drilling Site, more so than Adravian Moors. Adravian Moors are nice. Don't get me wrong, they're nice. They're wings, they're Dark Angel troops. You can get a front line for 3 health for a common. If you don't have that, you can squeeze that in. But Drilling Site is really essential to help use Nemiel's ability on those proper turns, either turn 1 or late game. As you saw a couple turns there, we're just getting that extra 2 energy to be able to throw on a card extra. That's enough to swing it sometimes and to have a stronger turn. So I would say Astravel number 1, Drill Site number 2, then Adravian Moors number 3. And then the rest is rares and commons, and actually is a very friendly deck. So if you're looking to play Dark Angels, you want to see what they're about, but you are kind of intimidated because you don't have all the cards, try something along the lines of this deck list. You'll actually find yourself probably having a better time than you think. You do have to know when to stop using Nemiel's ability. Don't use his ability every turn if it's going to cost you board superiority. If you've got a troop that you've got to deal with, sometimes you got to take that face strike. You got to be able to take those chances. If you spend too many turns using your ability to pump up a troop that isn't going to do anything for you, you are shooting yourself in the foot. On the other hand, don't throw down your troops too soon. Don't throw down your troops too soon if you can help it, because they're going to get stronger as the game goes on. And that's really nice with this deck. It's really nice with the faction as a whole. It feels unique. It feels unique for the Dark Angels. I really like that. So that is it for me, guys. I hope this has been helpful to you. If you like the video, please like and or subscribe if you aren't a subscribed. Share the video if you've got any Dark Angels fans who are looking to play Dark Angels, or they're looking to get into Horus Heresy Legions. Have them check it out. Tell me what you think. Tell me what cards that you've played. If you have found a better use for Forbidden Secret with Nemiel, good for you. I'm not I'm not going to spend any more time looking for it. But if you have found Nemiel to work better with some of the other wings, Dreadwing or Deathwing, let me know. Other than that, till next time, keep playing Legions. We'll talk to you later.